Hi guys, my name is Abba and welcome back to my amazing kitchen. I hope you all are doing very well today because I have a very interesting recipe for you guys. Today on the menu we are cooking yam rice. Yes, we all love our fried yam and boiled yam, but this is a very interesting way that you could eat your yam as well. And I hope you enjoy this as much as we do in my house, especially the kids. So come along and let's get right into the recipe. So I'll be serving this yam rice with some egg and mackerel stew, and for that I'm going to use 2 canned plum tomatoes, and I'm just going to pour this into my blender and blend it until it becomes very smooth or to any texture that you like, and set it aside for later. It took me just about 7 seconds to blend everything, and as you can see, it looks very smooth, just like I want it. So set it aside and let's continue. In my pot over here, I'm going to heat up some oil, and you can use any oil of your choice, but I'm using the oil I skimmed off from hot pepper sauce that I made. Now in goes my sliced onion, and I'm using 1 big sliced onion. I'm going to fry this for a few minutes and then go in with my chopped chilies. And also for extra flavor in my stew, I'm going to add a tablespoon of my hot pepper sauce and 2 cubes of my homemade all-purpose marinade, which contains ginger, garlic, and a lot of goodness. I will leave all the links down below so you can check them out. Now continue to fry this for a couple of minutes until it becomes very fragrant, and then go ahead and add your blended tomatoes. And I'm using canned tomatoes here, but you could also do fresh tomatoes or any tomato sauce that you have available. I also rinsed my blender with just a little bit of water and added it. Now I'm going to cover this and allow it to cook gently for about 10 to 15 minutes. So whilst my stew is gently cooking away, I'm going to prep my yam in the meantime. And my yam is new yam, so it's got a lot of dirt on it, so I have to wash it very well before I peel it. Cutting any yam open is always a surprise because you never know what you are finding in there. Especially if you don't know how to pick yam like myself. I just pick any yam that, calls my name. And as the spirit leads, it literally feels like cutting open an avocado. The suspense is always the same. So if you have any tricks on picking out the best yam each and every time, please hook your sister up and let me know in the comment section down below. Okay, so peel your yam and slice them into any preferred shape that you want. You want to wash them thoroughly and transfer them into your cooking pot. Now go ahead and add enough water to cook, cover it and set it aside until we are ready to cook it. So I now go back to check on my stew, and at this point it is cooking down beautifully, but it still has a lot of moisture in it. So I give it a stir and allow it to cook some more. So since we are making egg and mackerel stew, we are going to be using mackerel, and today I'm opting for this canned mackerel. This is African Queen, but any of the canned mackerel will do. I'm going to separate the tomato sauce from the fish and then set both aside for later. And of course, you can use some fresh or smoked mackerel or any fish of your choice, or even leave it out completely. It will still come out really nice. As you can see, this can contains a lot of fish for this stew. So I check back on my stew and season this with some garlic and onion powder, curry powder and some paprika powder, some shrimp powder, but you can of course season this with any seasoning that you prefer. Allow this to simmer gently whilst we move on with our eggs. So I like to have very chunky eggs in my egg stew. So in my bowl here, I'm going to crack in 4 eggs and then season this with just a little bit of salt, and you are going to beat this very well until it is very light and fluffy. So incorporating a lot of air by whisking it like this will give you that fluffy and chunky egg later on in your stew. So I now go back to check on my stew, and at this point you can see it is almost done because the oil is now settling on top. So I add in the tomato sauce from my mackerel and then add my salt to taste. Give this another stir and then add my eggs. So because I want chunky and fluffy eggs in my stew, I'm going to add my eggs strategically. So you can see that I'm pouring some of the eggs into corners of my stew without stirring or doing anything to it. Now cover and reduce your heat to the lowest setting and allow your eggs to fluff up before you stir. And make sure to stir very gently when it gets to that stage. So this is exactly what I mean by chunky and fluffy eggs. Just look at this. And this is really due to the vigorous beating and allowing it to fluff up on its own. So at this point, our stew is almost done, and so I'm going to add my mackerel, and as you can see, I have broken the mackerel into pieces. You don't have to do this, it's totally optional, but I do this just so each scoop of stew will have a bit of egg and a bit of mackerel. So allow this to simmer gently on your lowest heat setting, and let's move back to our yam. So now add your salt to taste to your yam, cover it back and start cooking it at this stage. This is new yam, so it doesn't take much time to cook at all. So you want it to be done just at the same time your stew will be done as well. So whilst our yam is boiling, we are going to finish off our stew by adding some bell peppers. And this is for color, for crunch, and of course for some nutrients and added flavor. So give this a gentle stir and allow this to simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes and your stew is done. I now go back to check on my yam, and at this point my yam is perfectly cooked. As you can see, I can poke my fork into it and it goes all the way through without any resistance. So I'm going to strain this and transfer it into a separate bowl. So now that our yam is perfectly cooked, we are going to proceed by ricing it. And we would need this potato ricer to rice our yam. My ricer comes with a 3 disc. It has like a small, medium and large holes. So choose any hole that works for you, but I like to choose the smallest as it gives me more a realistic rice look. So all I do is to put my yam into my ricer, press on it, and my yam comes out of the little holes, giving you a rice-like texture. It's really that simple. You only have to make sure that you do this whilst your yam is still very hot. If you wait for it to cool down completely, you are going to have a hard time pressing it through the holes. So press on it, and after a few times it will feel like it's sticking. Just slide it off with a sharp knife and it falls right into your bowl. Now repeat until all your yam is used up and you are left with this beautiful yam rice. Seriously, this is all there is to making yam rice. This yam rice is very light and very fluffy, and it is also perfect for when you are doing fitfam because it makes you eat less yam than you actually would because of how light and fluffy it is. Now go ahead and serve with your stew and enjoy. Into sisto. Ebe bread o. Inti wara ashem mama ye yam rice akono a otide ya. Inti wara in subscribe yi. Inti mpocho isha o ya. Mpocho subscribe mama. But guys, seriously, I hope that you are able to try this simple and easy yam rice recipe. And I kid you not, this is going to be your new favorite way of eating yam. You will come back to thank me later. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section what you think of this recipe. So until I come your way next time with another amazingly delicious recipe, cook this meal with love and see it radiate through the hearts of your family. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and see you in my next video. Bye!